I wanted to start with how you see the evolving role of the state-owned enterprises in the new growth path, as well as this industrialization or reindustrialization vision that is outlined in the IPAP 2.
You see, the SOEs have got to play a leading role in the creation of jobs. The President has given us a very clear mandate that we must create jobs, and there are two ways you go about it. One of them is the direct role of government in the creation of jobs. The other way is in developing the infrastructure that will enable the private sector to develop jobs, because at the end of the day, the largest number of jobs must be created in the private sector. We've set ourselves ambitious targets, and so the state-owned enterprises have got to play a leading role in enabling the private sector to create jobs, among others by reducing the cost of doing business in the telecommunications, the transport and logistics, as well as the energy sectors. And at the same time, we must ensure that we implement some of the projects that will directly create jobs and the skills. For example, if you look at the projects that Eskom is going to embark upon, the build projects, if you look at the various projects that the Transnet is going to embark upon, all of those have got to create jobs directly, but at the same time provide support to the private sector to create even more jobs. What we are doing at the present moment in the department, working together with the various ministers, Minister Patel, Minister Davis, is to look at the role of these SOEs in job creation and industrialization, and trying to find synergies so that we enhance the role of the SOEs in regards to those two critical areas.
And is the competitive supplier development framework, which governs the localization and industrialization, do you feel that's a sufficient tool that's in place to get Eskom, Transnet, SAA on board and behind the imperatives of industrialization associated with their build programs?
Actually, I was reporting to the senior management of the department that at the cabinet Lekgotla, those issues came up quite sharply. So that when Transnet establishes the new rail lines, and in how Eskom conducts its business, issues such as localization gain pride of place. So we have got to shift our focus to ensure that we accommodate those, because both at the cabinet Lekgotla as well as the ANC's NEC Lekgotla, those issues came out quite sharply.
And as shareholder minister, I mean, obviously you have to worry about the solvencies of these enterprises. They have to be good going concerns. In your mind, where's the balance for you? Trying to stretch them to do more development, or trying to keep them, to get them more efficient?
Well, that's a very, I think, complex issue. We will try to get the balance, to strike a balance between the two. I mean, at the end of the day, SOEs don't exist for their own sake, for the sole sake of pursuing the bottom line. They exist so that they contribute towards industrialization and lowering the cost of doing business in the country.
And how do you see that monitoring role for the department, as well as the leadership that you want to provide in the visions of the board? How do you see that relationship in your mind between the boards and yourself, and the executive and the boards and yourself evolving?
We are busy at the moment developing a framework which we may adopt within the next 14 to 21 days that's going to govern that. There is a framework that currently exists, a shareholder model, a shareholder governance model framework that currently exists. And we are trying to see if it's sufficient and whether we can't change it here and there. One of the things which I've clearly indicated is that I would like to play a much closer role to the boards, to meet with the chairpersons of the SOEs on a regular basis. Initially, I thought we could meet once a month. It seems a little bit tedious, but we should try to meet as regularly as possible. And then twice a year, hold a chairpersons forum where all the chairs of all the SOEs will be present, because some of the issues that we need to deal with are generic to all the SOEs. And then in the individualized meetings, we will, in the one-on-one meetings, we will then focus on each SOE and its unique challenges.
If there was a sort of overarching theme for your tenure as the minister, you mentioned the word communication came up quite strongly. What is the theme that's going to direct you over this coming year in the way you relate to the SOEs?
You know, I had thought of a few issues. One is robust leadership, and that would include under it providing policy clarity, providing policy certainty, and that it be known what is it that we want to do and achieve. Secondly, it's enhancing stakeholder relations and communication. Stakeholders being government, being the public, being the supplier and industries that we work with, the private sector. The third one being strengthening corporate governance in the SOEs, ensuring that there is good governance that includes financial viability, and then the fourth theme is youth development. I think every government department has got to ensure that young people receive the attention they deserve. If you have 70% of all unemployed people being below the age of 35, and this is not new. You know, sometimes we present this thing in South Africa as though it's new. Already in the 1996 census by Stats SA, 70% of all unemployed people were below 35. So it's not something that we've just woken up to realize now in 2010. Just that we have not done enough to change their situation, and those are the overarching themes under which we are going to work.